Hi guys, so this week for science, you guys are going to work on a little project at home. So last week, you guys should have watched the video on plant adaptations. Okay, so there should have been 3 videos. There should have been one of me talking, and then there should have been a video of the carnivorous, the poisonous pitcher plant, and then there should have been the video titled "You at the Zoo." So in the pitcher plant video, you guys should have seen how the pitcher plant has liquid inside of it and it attracts other animals to go towards it, and then the animals fall inside the pitcher plant and that liquid basically kills the animal so that the plant can eat it. So it's a carnivore, right? We don't really think of plants eating animals, but some do, like that one. And then you guys, in the other video, the You at the Zoo, you guys should have seen a plant that basically plays dead. When it feels something touching it, the leaves start to look like they're dead, so the animals aren't, so that the animals don't want to eat the plant. Okay, so it's like, oh, that guy's dead. I don't want to eat that one. Okay, so the animals will move on to another plant. So that's an adaptation that plant has. It plays dead. Okay. Then my YouTube video, you guys should have, you guys were, I told you guys what adaptations are. Okay, so it's basically anything that helps a plant or an animal survive in a specific environment. And I use the example of taking all of you to the desert and just dropping you there. Okay, eventually some of you might start getting really sick, or unfortunately some of you even might die because your bodies aren't used to surviving in the environment of the desert. Okay, it's too hot. So after many, many, many years, plants and animals learn how to survive in a specific environment by developing certain adaptations. And then I said there's 2 types of adaptations. There's behavioral adaptations and then there's structural adaptations. So behavioral adaptations is what the plant or the animal does. So for example, if an animal or a plant plays dead, that's behavioral adaptation. It's something that the plant or animal is doing. Okay? Or there's structural adaptation, which is the physical part of the plant or the animal. Like a flower or a plant can have spikes or thorns. That's a structural adaptation. It's something about the way the plant looks. Okay, so it's structure. So we're focusing on plants first. We're not onto animals yet. Okay, so this week your science project, remember it's a small project, so don't get scared when you hear the word project, is to create your own plant. Okay, so here's your scenario, and I'm going to read off of here. You're a botanist, so a botanist is a scientist that studies plants. Okay, you're a botanist who has just discovered a new type of plant. As every good scientist does, you will document your exciting findings. Design a fact sheet highlighting your new plant discoveries. So in this fact sheet, I need to see the plant's name. So remember, you're creating the plant. You found it, but you're creating it for your project, okay? So your plant's name. What does your plant need? We know that all plants need water, sunlight, oxygen. Okay, so maybe your plant just needs that. Or maybe your plant is special and it needs something else. Okay, so remember, it's your plant, your imagination, you create it. You also need to tell me about your plant's adaptations. Okay, so what is special about your plant? How does it survive in its environment? Okay, what's special about it? Okay, that's the most important part about this because we're studying adaptations, right? So I need you to come up with some pretty clever adaptations. And then you need to tell me what biome your plant lives in. Okay, so if you watched my video last week, which you should have, you learned about 5 different biomes, okay, which I have right here. So I'll go over them again, okay, and you can always rewind the video to come back and look here. Okay, so the first biome is the aquatic biome. Okay, so when you hear aquatic, you hear water. Okay, so there's 2 types of aquatic biomes. There's the freshwater biome, which means that there's no salt, so lakes and rivers and ponds. And then we have the marine biome, which is also, so all oceans. Okay. So if you have a plant that lives there, remember on my old video or on my other video, you guys should have stayed while I read the document talking about different adaptations that plants in the aquatic biome might have. So maybe you can steal some of those and then make some of your own adaptations. Then we have the desert biome, okay? So desert biome is very dry land with little rainfall. We know that it doesn't rain much in the desert, and it's super hot and it can be pretty windy there, okay? And there's very little shade. There aren't many trees that grow in the desert, so you have to remember that if your plant is going to live in the desert, okay? It has to be able to survive the heat. Okay, it doesn't get a lot of water and there's not a lot of shade. Then there's grassland biomes. These grassland biomes are super big and they're super windy, okay? And then it's mainly grass, shrubs, with very few trees. And then there are many fires that are started here because sometimes when there's lightning under, the lightning will hit the grass, and it's pretty dry there, so it creates a fire, or sometimes even just the wind alone will start a fire. And then, so maybe your plant can have an adaptation that protects it from the fire. Remember, your imagination, be creative. Okay, so then we have the forest biome. So in the forest, we have 3 different types of biomes in the forest. Okay, so there's the temperate forest, which has seasons. So there's it never gets really hot and it never gets really cold either. And there's like so amount of snow and rain. And then there's the taiga. So the taiga forest is very cold and it has a little bit of snow and rain. And the soil in the taiga, like the dirt where plants grow, it doesn't have a lot of nutrients, okay? So the plants don't really get the nutrients that they need to be healthy and survive. So think of a way your plant can get those nutrients, okay? Maybe that can be an adaptation. Then you have the tropical rainforest where it rains a lot and there's a lot of shade, but the soil, again, the dirt that the plants live in, doesn't have a lot of nutrients and it's super thin because it's always wet, okay? And then you have the tundra biome, which is very cold with little snow or rain. So it's pretty dry and it's also really cold. And then the nutrients, they aren't really there in the soil, and it's pretty much frozen all the time because it's so cold, okay? So these are your different types of biomes, okay? So you can pick whichever kind you want, and then you have to decide, all right, what adaptations does my plant need if it's going to live in these specific biomes, okay? So remember, if you choose the forest, are you going to choose the temperate forest, the taiga forest, or the tropical rainforest? Or if you choose the aquatic biome, are you going to choose the freshwater or are you going to choose the marine one with salt? So you have to think about all of that, okay? So I am going to show you my project, okay? So you have 2 options, okay? You can either make a model. I know a lot of you like working with your hands, but you might not have supplies at your house. So if you have supplies at your house, go ahead and make the model, okay? I happen to have some paper at my house, okay? I didn't go out and buy this. It was just sitting at my house. So I went ahead and used scissors, tape, markers, and the paper that I found to do this, okay? If you have a lot of crafts at your house, go ahead, get creative, okay? If you prefer to draw it, it has to be neat and colorful and nice, okay? You can't just do like a quick stick drawing, okay? Remember, this is a project, okay? So if you would be doing this project at school, you would make it nice like you were doing your magnet project, okay? So we have to remember, it's a project, right? And I might send these pictures or flip grids, because there's going to be an option to do a flip grid, might send them to Miss Ponce, so you want yours to look nice, okay? So you have 2 options: to make a model of your flower or plant, or to draw it, okay? So here is my model, okay? So I used green, orange, yellow, and blue paper, okay? So the first thing that I did is on the orange paper, I drew my petals and then I cut them out. And then I got the yellow paper and I cut out these yellow parts, okay? And then I did a circle with the green, and then I taped it all together. And then in order to make it kind of look 3D, I folded it. So once it was all taped, I folded parts of my flower so that way it can look kind of like wrinkled and crumbled, so that way when I taped it onto here, it would look kind of 3D. And then I had some leftover green paper, so I just like kind of like rolled it up so that it can kind of look like this, okay? And then I used the blue paper to make the background, okay? So remember, you have to pick the biome that your plant is going to live in, okay? So you have to create some kind of a background. If you're going to make a model, you have to create some kind of a background, okay? You can get a plain white piece of paper and you can just draw the background and then put your flower in front of it or plant, or you can get creative and make something like I did here. Now, if you kind of want to make something like this, I'll show you. So you have to have a paper and it has to be a square. So what I did is I got a ruler or even something like this and I measured it. I made sure that all the sides were the same length, okay? So you have to have a square. Then what you do is you get one corner and match it with the other corner, like this. And it has to be as perfect as you can make it, okay? Okay, so then you unfold it. Then you do the same thing with this corner to this corner. So, okay, so now you have like an X here, right? Okay, so now what you're going to do, so let's go over that again. You did a corner to corner, and then you opened it, and then you did the other corner to corner, and then you open it, okay? Then what you do is you're going to get your scissors, and you're going to pick one of these. So now there's 4 lines. 1, 2, 3, 4. You're going to pick one, and you're going to cut from the corner to the middle, okay? So here we go. I'm going to cut from the corner to the middle, okay? So now it looks like this. Okay? Now what you're going to do, this is probably going to be the hardest part, okay? See these 2 flaps? You're going to put one flap under the other one, and you're going to put this other flap on top of it. So you're going to kind of crisscross them like this. Ta-da! So again, it's like this. So you're kind of going to crisscross them like this. And then with tape, you're going to tape this down. Okay, so now you have your little background. Okay, now, if you notice, I have some decorations on mine. I drew some little waves for the water, and then I have a tree here. So here's the trick. Before you tape it, you want to draw your background, okay? So I knew that this flap was going to be on top. So I didn't draw anything on this flap because it's going to be on the bottom. You can't see it, right? So I drew stuff on this flap, and on this flap. So when it's flat, it's easier to draw. And then when you put it together, you'll be able to see your drawings, okay? So I'll put mine close here. So you see this bottom flap? I knew it was going on the bottom, so I didn't put anything on there, okay? So I drew some waves, and then over here I did, with marker, I did the trunk of the tree, and then with the green paper, I did the bushy part. And then with the yellow paper, I cut out a sun, okay? So there you go. There is my model, okay? Now, if I wanted to draw it, I would have just gotten a white piece of paper. I would have decorated the paper, and then in the middle somewhere, I would have drawn my plant or my flower, okay? So it's up to you. Either you make a model or you draw. And you don't have to make a model using this. If you have an empty shoebox that you want to decorate as your background, go ahead, okay? Your choice. So either model or drawing. Okay. Now we come back to the part where you had to make a fact sheet, where you recorded everything that we need to know about the plant that you found, okay, the plant that you created. So here we go. Here's my fact sheet. So I said that you had to have a plant name. What does your plant need? The adaptations, that's the most important part, and then the biome that it lives in, okay? So my plant's name is Surface of the Sun, okay? Why is it named Surface of the Sun? You'll see right now, okay? So my plant needs, so this is what my plant needs to survive. It needs water, sunlight, and heat, okay? Miss Espy, the sun makes heat, but, yeah, well, my plant needs a little more, okay? You'll see why right now, okay? So the plant can produce its own heat, okay? So I made sure to tell that the plant can produce its own heat. Now, here are the adaptations. What does this plant need in order to, or what does this plant have in order to protect itself from its environment or the animals around there, okay? So it says, the plant makes its own heat so that other animals get scared when they feel the heat and don't eat it. So, as the animals get close to my plant, they start feeling some heat. And they say, whoa, that's hot. Ooh, as I get closer, it gets hotter. I don't think I want to eat that. That doesn't, no. So let's say the animal decides to eat the plant. Well, when the animal takes a bite out of the plant, it actually is super hot and it hurts the animal. So that's why the plant's name is the Surface of the Sun. Okay? Now, the biome. It lives in the aquatic biome, and I didn't have space to put it, but it's the freshwater biome. Okay? So it lives in a lake. Okay? And then it lives in the freshwater biome so that the water can keep it cool, okay? So the plant produces its own heat to protect itself. But when the plant produces its own heat to protect itself from animals that want to eat it, it can get too hot sometimes. So it lives in the aquatic biome so that the water can also help keep it cool, okay? So that the plant doesn't get too hot and die. Alrighty? So that's my fact sheet right there. So I made a model, and here's my fact sheet. You can have a model and a fact sheet, or you can have a drawing and a fact sheet. Okay, everybody needs a fact sheet with these 4 things on it. Okay. Now, you have a choice. So you had a choice of doing a model and a drawing. Now you have another choice. You can either make a Flipgrid video where you do exactly what I just did. Here is my drawing. My drawing is orange and yellow and red because its name is the Surface of the Sun. So it has the colors of the sun. And then you start explaining. Okay, you'll see my Flipgrid example. I'll make a Flipgrid example. Okay, or you can just take a picture of this and you can send it to me on Class Dojo. Okay, I would prefer a Flipgrid video, but if you're too shy in front of the camera, that's fine. Okay, as long as I get the picture of your plant and your fact sheet, I'll be happy. Okay, so remember, either you make a model or you make a drawing. Everybody needs a fact sheet, and you can either talk about it in a Flipgrid video, or you can just take a picture and send it to me on Dojo. Okay, hopefully that's pretty clear. I'm going to post the instructions on Google Classroom so that you can open it on a Google Doc and read the instructions, and you can watch this video in case you have any questions. And remember, this, you have to have a square, go from corner to corner, so that's one corner, and here's the other corner, and then when it's all folded, you're going to pick one of the lines to cut. So I decided to cut this one. And then you're going to crisscross them. So this is going to go underneath, and this one's going to go on top. And then you tape it. And if you don't want to use this, you can use a shoebox, or you can get a white piece of paper and draw your background. And then If you're going to do a drawing, you can draw your flower or plant, or if you're going to make a model, you can just stick it onto your background, okay? And that is all. Hopefully you guys have a fun time doing this. All right, bye.